Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to QuickBooks Labs. QuickBooks Labs is a monthly podcast designed to be the place for you to learn all of the wonderful world of QuickBooks and all other accounting software. On the first Wednesday of each month, we hang around these microphones to talk about all the latest news, tips, tricks, and everything in between for QuickBooks Online. I'm one of your hosts, Simon Patrick, a chartered accountant and owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, a QuickBooks certified trainer, and you'll see if I get it right. Up there, we've got our nice little logo sat there, lovely. Same as Ash that we're about to introduce in a moment. And also the QuickBooks chat on YouTube. And join me, as always, as I've said before, is my co-host, the one and only Ash. How's it going, Ash?
Fantastic, thanks, Aaron. Yes, it's me, Ash Beetson, bookkeeper / accountant / software developer. I think I'll hand back over to you, Aaron, at that point.
Perfect. And you'll talk about it later, but also book author as well.
Oh yes, I'm starting on that little path. Yes, indeed.
So get the request in for the autographs now before it's too late. Today we have a cracker in store for you. For the first of all, let's figure out how all this works. So don't forget our new format. We're now a monthly podcast on the first Wednesday of each month. Hence why we're on today. And actually, I've just thought we've actually clashed today, haven't we? Is it the digital accountancy show, something like that today?
It is indeed, Aaron. Yes.
So some of you out there might be listening on, on catch up on this one, but hopefully you had a good conference. It is good to see that all those conferences are back up and running, though, isn't it, Ash?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I think I'm hoping to start going back to mine next year.
Yeah, definitely hold us back. So first of all, we are live to the world at our regular time of 4:30 p.m. UK time or 10:30 a.m. US Central Time. So if you're listening to it back at a later time, like all you lovely lot who has gone to the course today, to the conference today, should I say, then why not think about joining us live? That way you can get involved with the show and ask us anything using that chat box. So just like the people who are in the chat at the moment, just stick the questions in and we will get around to answer your burning questions at the end. Furthermore, we're now live on podcasts and services around the globe. So feel free to subscribe on the podcasting service of your choice. Ash, what is the agenda for today's day?
Well, we've got a few things to look through, Aaron. So we've got some few changes within QuickBooks. So a topic around the audit log that we'll want to look at. Seems to be a slight delay on the roadmap releases, we think, within what we're expected to be the summer update. We'll go on to that. The possible QuickBooks Online card reader. There's some recent reviews all about QuickBooks Online, so you'll be talking us through those. The new screen where you log into QuickBooks, that's actually changed slightly. Just to put in some comparisons between what the US see on their dashboard compared to what we see in the UK, and a couple of other updates that are still in beta at the moment. And then in some other news, we've got Intuit might be purchasing another company, and we've got some future updates as well. So actually quite a lengthy list there that you put together. So I'll hand back over to you, or is it to me actually at this particular point?
Yeah, let's do that audit log one first. I think that's kind of one of the most interesting insights that's happened, hasn't it? We're not 100% sure what's happened yet. So
let me, just before we do, let me get myself, because it just logged me back out of my particular screen. So let me get myself logged back in there first.
While you're doing that, I'll say a quick hello to people in the chat. So hello, Chariot Accountants. We've got a few more as well. So just shout out when you're ready, Ash.
It's taking a while to get myself logged in. Before I get myself logged in, so I came across this particular point when I was looking at another Facebook group, actually, sort of last month, where I'll just try and log in on another browser because it just got itself stuck a little bit. Where the audit log now only holds data for 2 years. So if you were to log in and, I've been using QuickBooks since 2014, I would expect if I go in my audit log to be able to look directly at anything dated from 2014 onwards. Just apologies while I'll just get myself logged back in here. It's going to be one of those days, Aaron, I feel, where
it always happens, doesn't it?
just get myself back in it. Just chop me out right before we started. And once I get in there, I'll be able to share my screen and demonstrate this. Now, even though I'll just chat while that's logged in. So what I have found is that I can go into the audit log and I won't actually see the data that I'm expecting to see. However, if I do look at a particular transaction that is in the past, it still has the audit history there, which is pretty good. So let me just open this company.
Because I know when people first mentioned it, there was kind of a worry that the data was missing, wasn't it? But it doesn't seem like the data's missing. It just seems like the audit log, for whatever reason, is.
Yeah, but it just seems to be the audit report, but not all of the audit information, which is a little bit strange, I find, because you think, well, all of that information is still there, but it just doesn't happen to appear on that screen, which is a little bit strange. Anyway, let me share my screen now. There we go. Make sure I've got the right one.
No worries. There we are. Wonderful.
Perfect. So if I were to go into my audit log that I would normally go into, so pop into my audit log, and I'll clear that filter, and I'll say I want to look at transactions between a particular date. So if I was to put in there from 1st of May 2018, it's, I get a red box basically saying I can't do it. It goes red. If I come in here, if I put 0108 2019, if I put in there 0109 2019, it allows me, because that is in the 2-year window. So I was, when I first saw that, I was horrified, to be perfectly honest. I thought, what? WTF? What is going on there? What happens if, usually I'm really pretty up to date, but you don't know if you come across some company that's quite behind and you want to look at, something that might have changed. So I think, well, this isn't really transaction date. This is obviously the action date, when it's logged. But even so, but if I were to let's have a look at a profit and loss report. So run a profit and loss. And I'll run this profit and loss by year. So I know if I actually run this from 2016. Date. Run that by calendar years will do.
Yep.
So I know I've got data in there. I've got all the data is in there, because I started using this on the CIS webinar around 2016. So if I were to look at, say, one of these income for 2017, so I'll open that up. I'll click on one of the invoices. So this is well over 4 years old.
Yep.
It's taking a while to open up.
It's only because we're streaming live, isn't it?
Yeah, it always seems to have a bit of a lag. There we go.
Yeah.
So now I've got the invoice open. I go to more. It's been a little,
eventually.
I can look at the audit history.
And it'll just bring it up as normal.
And all of it's there, from when it was created.
Because
Yeah, it's strange that I can't see that in the audit log, but the audit log is still there, but hidden.
It's connected to the transaction itself, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
like when I first heard about this, I thought to myself, okay, so I mean, they definitely wouldn't have purged the transactions because that would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it, if they started purging transactions? But what in my mind, I was thinking, well, they probably what they're trying to achieve here is just wanting to reduce all of the probably administration burden, because the audit log is so sophisticated. It tells you when people log in, log out, and all that sort of stuff. So I can imagine that system data, I don't know if that's what you'd call it, but you know that less of the financial data and more of the kind of other data, you can kind of understand if that's getting purged after 2 years, fine. You know, we don't need it that long. You probably won't need it more than 6 months ago, would you? Or a year ago, whatever it's going to be. So I understand that data going, but half of me was worried that sort of that audit data was going to go as well. But
Yeah,
I suppose it's been. I mean, is it because you've interacted with it within the 2 years? You haven't, have you? You've never touched that transaction. That's 2017.
no, because that was the last time it was touched.
Yeah.
Was 2017.
Yeah.
So at least the good thing is there that although I don't see it in the audit log, it's still there.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of kind of weirdness happening with that audit kind of search bar as well, because I noticed another people not complaining, but saying how that search bar is not working as intended either. So you know how if you click on the advanced search now, I don't know if you've noticed, you go to search and you press advanced, the date ranges are just peculiar. They're not giving you date ranges you'd expect it to be. So something's definitely changed, hasn't it? Or something's not quite what it used to be in the back end. So maybe it's maybe some changes coming our way and that they're kind of prepping for it. Who knows?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I do find that actually the actual search area here can be a little bit hit and miss. So when you do an advanced search, or if you put in there, perhaps go to search for an amount, it comes up with nothing because although you put in there they're trying to search £50, it might not find anything because it's trying to find a 50 reference.
Yeah, because now the return gets straight.
Yeah, it's got reference 50. And that's not what I was looking for.
I suppose it's useful if you're trying to find a particular invoice number, but it doesn't sometimes bring up the invoice numbers, does it? So, I found that, on that search bar, if you don't press return and you just leave it to do what it does, it will find something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Part of me, because it got a bit of an update, didn't it? A couple of years back. So part of me wonders if that's kind of something that is being worked on, is the whole search element of it. And how it works, because even like trying to find profit and loss transactions sometimes can be reports can sometimes be hit and miss as well, can't it? So
we've had it happen a couple of times in the courses where you can search, if you're logged in as an accountant as we are here, I could search for a report or attempt to search for a report. I think it was like the custom summary report, where I won't be able to find it here. I've got customer balance but not custom summary. But if I actually go to the reports area down the left-hand navigation, and search within there, then I can find it. If I start touching in their custom summary, I find that's what I'm looking for. And I think there were some similarities with, the stock report. So if I'm searching from in one place, it's called the stock report. And if I come here, I think here it's from stock. In the magnifying glass, I have to search for inventory, physical inventory worksheet, stock take worksheet. So they're exactly the same report, but found in a different name depending on where you're looking. So
that's strange, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, so that's just that's an extra free tip for today. If you can't find the report as an accountant when you're using the magnifying glass, don't forget to come back into the reports area and search for it here, because chances are you'll find what you want.
Brilliant. Extra free tip. I love it. Yeah. But it's an odd one, isn't it? Hopefully it's not the sign of data being purged or anything like that, or heaven forbid there's a paywall behind data or something like that, like they have in America. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it, and we will let you know in due course. Anything else on that one, Ash?
No, that was it. It was just really that bit on the audit log. So it's not as bad as what people think when they first come across it. I think that's our main thing there. It's not all bad.
Definitely. All right. Okay. So this one I'm about to bring up now, bit of tongue in cheek in this one, but this one is basically asking the question to QuickBooks themselves and say, when does summer start? Because in my mind, I feel like summer's pretty much coming to the end. What would you say, Ash? Is it, have you felt like there's been a summer this year or?
Well, actually, if I were looking outside at the weather, if I looked at the outside of the weather pretty much any time this year, summer might have been some sort of blur or maybe just some hope or a distant memory. But I don't think it felt like summer. And now we're in September. I think, September, October, November, isn't that autumn?
I think so. I mean, I could be wrong there, but in my mind, I feel like we're moving to autumn.
Yeah.
And the only reason we jest about it is because we're still on our spring product release cycle with QuickBooks. So I want to say 2 years ago now, they started this quarterly update cycle, didn't they? And it was working really well, wasn't it? Every quarter we had a different products releases. And we got to learn more about QuickBooks and everything else. But for some reason, the summer product release has completely disappeared. So who knows? I mean, it's more than likely going to be the fact that there just wasn't enough to talk about, possibly, and there wasn't enough to bring into play, and it's a bit more of a slower month. But fingers crossed, we're going to go straight into autumn pretty soon, and we'll get an autumn product release.
Yeah, possibly. I try to cheat the system because I know when you look at some of the prior months, the address bar changes to updates /summer/ or -2020. So I tried to actually put in spring and summer.
Have you tried autumn yet?
With different years, and it still didn't work. So it's not even a little glitch in the website, unfortunately. So
that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, oops, we can't find summer. Never mind. I'm sure we'll get one of those Indian summers. Yeah.
Come through at some point. Brilliant. Okay, so that's just so people I mean, I don't know if we were expecting any product releases for it. I don't know if that was something that was teased or not. I mean, I suppose they haven't had any QuickBooks events or anything to kind of push anything. So I can imagine QuickBooks Connect or the regional ones of this next couple of months, aren't they? So if they're going to announce anything, they'd probably save it for those events. Do you think?
Yeah, I think you might be right, Aaron. So yeah, we've got the UK usually
February, isn't it, for the big one?
Connected ones are around, and then we'd normally have QuickBooks Connect sort of around March in the UK. In the US, they must be expecting their next QuickBooks Connect anytime now. Usually around November, December.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. So I suppose there'll be announcements there, but I guess US focus on that one. The next bit of news, and it's more just kind of trying to look for our crystal balls and see if there's anything here that that could come over to the UK, but they finally released what is going to look like their little card puck solution for QuickBooks Pay, QuickBooks integrations, and actually getting the opportunity to add a little card solution to it. So it looks very much similar to how Square, I don't know if you've ever seen Square's little puck that they have. So in the terms of there's no kind of keyboard to it, there's no physical functional keys. So what it works on Square is that's all done by your phone, or you can just take kind of your what's the phrase where you actually get to just tap and go instead of actually putting the card in. But I do like the fact there's that little kind of digital screen there. You can see how much is going to be charged at any one point. In the UK, I suppose we've got that Zettle integration. We've got that partnership with Zettle by PayPal. So possibly it will never make it to the UK. Maybe there's no kind of need for it over here. But in the US, it looks like quite a slick little put, that one. I think that'll be quite a nice little one. And I know when they were talking about it and talking about the integration, how it works so well, the idea is it's instantly in your bank account. You don't have to wait those couple of days for payouts or anything like that. If you take some money today via your card from a customer, then the idea is it's instantly available for you to draw against or whatever you need to do. So yeah, it's interesting. What do you think to that, Ash? Do you think it's a nice little design? Do you think it's a sensible solution?
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty neat. I mean, I'm guessing with the sort of the instant availability of funds, is that with any bank, or would that be if you've got the QuickBooks bank?
Yeah. So it was all about that tight integration, wasn't it? Like the perks of being in the QuickBooks Cash and QuickBooks Bank ecosystem. The perks would be that if you receive money via paying by invoice or paying by the POC or however you paid or received money, the idea was it was going to be instantly available for you.
Yeah.
So, which is a huge perk for some businesses, isn't it? So,
yeah. It looks good.
Yeah. And hopefully, just like we've seen with the Zettel integration, I can imagine this one will be even tighter in terms of getting that data into QuickBooks. So, seeing what comes through, you might even be able to be clever enough to kind of be able to allocate the products on independently, them sort of things. So, because I suppose in America, they have the point of sale solution, don't they? I don't know if you've ever played around with it, but there's a QuickBooks point of sale like app, if you like. And I imagine it kind of works well with that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that functionality at least comes over to UK.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then there's a couple of smaller updates as well. So if you've been logging into, in fact, I won't. Can I show that one? Yeah, I can show that one over here. So if you've been logging into QuickBooks lately, you'll see that there's a slight change for some of you in terms of what it looks like. Just over here. So the actual sign-in page, once you've signed in, if you've got multiple companies, this page has now changed. It seems to have changed massively for the better. But if you remember it before, it used to just be a list of names. Now we have the opportunity to see what clients we've got associated with accounting companies. We can search between companies. So that seems to be a much better experience. It doesn't seem to be on every single client who logs in at the moment, or every single user, should I say, who logs in at the moment. But that should be quite nice, interesting, or definitely a change for the better. Don't you agree, Ash?
Yeah, I mean, it does look nicer. I will agree. And I do like the fact that when you sort of click on, as an accountant, you can click on, you can see all of the clients that are held behind your accounting practice. And I guess if you were a bookkeeper and you might work with 2 or 3 accounting firms, you could think, oh, which accountancy practice is that client under? And you could sort of look without having to go into each one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good use case.
But what I did find is that when I used it, just today, in fact, when I clicked in and I sort of, clicked within my accounting practice and I put in my client name, it doesn't actually take me to the client. It just takes you to the accountant dashboard. So although I've selected the client, it takes me to the accounting dashboard. I've got to select that client again. So in one way, I sort of think, well, yeah, it's a nice thing that I can search for it, but what's the point if I can't actually do anything with it? I might as well just log into the accounting firm.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, I don't think, because that would, I suppose, be quite a nice little useful shortcut, wouldn't it, to get straight into your client and go from there. And maybe even like that search bar, you could search for individual clients if you've got multiple ones. But what I would, but I suppose on the flip side for them is they would still want you to go to QBOA, wouldn't they? They like you going to QBOA first before you jump into a client, don't they? So I suppose they'll always want that kind of interaction there.
Yeah, I can see we've just had a comment actually that that is a future feature, what I've just mentioned.
Good.
And it absolutely makes sense. So from my point as being involved in software development, quite often little bits will be released first. And this is probably the stage 1. So now we know that this bit works. There'll be something else that needs joining, like joining a few dots together to make the next bit work. and that's probably what's going to happen next year. So yeah, so thanks for Chariot Accountants for pointing that one out to us. That's yeah, that does make sense.
Nice one. I suppose where this really becomes advantageous, though, this view here, and it is something of a bit of a, I think a lot of people can get confused on, is that idea that when you first set up your QuickBooks, especially from the accountant side of things, when, I don't know if you've come across it, where they've got multiple kind of logins and multiple people who have set up different QB accountants areas, QBO areas, especially in larger firms when it first got kind of set up. I think if it wasn't set up in the right way and like multiple people went off and did their own kind of setups and everything else, it's always been a bit of a minefield of trying to navigate and find where clients are held, or if you've got branches or anything like that. So I think that's where this would become really useful. So I think this change was kind of looking at those bigger practices, looking at those bigger client portfolios and going, look, how can we make it better for them?
Yeah,
because it can be a nightmare, can't it? For when it was just those list of names, and sometimes you weren't sure what that name quite meant and everything else. It's like, even for me, I've got a USA account and a UK account, so you know, having the idea that I can see one that distinctly says USA and one that says UK, it's probably going to make my life easier. So yeah, it's definitely a change for the better, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed it is.
Then we've seen another small change as well, but this time over in the USA account. And this one is the Get Things Done tab has evolved. So we will kind of tease this when we were told about the Get Things Done tab. So that's the one that's in your dashboard when you log into QuickBooks Online. We were teased that kind of the reason that they split it in the first place. So that if you remember, they split it from Get Things Done to Business Overview. Business Overview being that old style kind of dashboard, if you like, where the Get Things Done tab was supposed to evolve over time to, so you could get things done, I suppose, was the idea of it, wasn't it? But the things that kind of look good here, or the way that me and Ash were talking off screen beforehand, is this that reminds us very much so of QuickBooks desktop. So, Ash, what do you think to this little change?
Yeah, it's nice, and it's, yeah, like Sarah, it just does take you back. Sort of gives you a nice warm feeling almost. But it's not, we're not 100 million miles away from what we used to use in some respects. And what I would probably also say is that, and this is probably why it is very much actually in the US, is that in the US there is still a huge amount of people using QuickBooks Desktop.
Okay. Yeah.
And as I'm sort of looking at it, it makes a lot of sense, because now in the UK, QuickBooks Online, more people actually probably went from using, Xero, using Sage Desktop to QuickBooks Online than what you had people using QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, because there wasn't a massive sort of, QuickBooks Desktop a number of users in the UK, nowhere near compared to the US. And I should think to make it easier, make that sort of transition easier to get from desktop to online, they've immediately got a screen that they're familiar with seeing.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because they think, because before you've got a desktop user that's logged into desktop, that's the first thing that they see. And now, without that, they would just sort of see the business overview, and they would go, oh God, I don't know where I am. But at least, with this, they've got the ability, because all of those little tiles are clickable, that are on there. So if they want to add a product or service, they'd be able to click on it. So it is guiding them through. It's guiding them through that, that money in
that workflow, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. It's guiding you through that workflow, without you having to think too much about it.
Because
sorry, Aaron.
No, go for it. Go on.
And I did that when I was actually using the Sandbox company. So for anyone listening, a Sandbox company is just like a QuickBooks testing area that you can use as a developer. And when I created a new company in there, it actually gave, for the US, it gave me a lot more of the, asking me questions about my company than what we normally get. A lot more. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? There was that. In some ways, I actually felt there was too many, because you could accept it or you could press skip, which is what I did because I wanted to get it set up quickly. But I think it's giving maybe some people just a extra bit of hand holding that they might need, to make the whole sort of transition from one thing to another a little bit easier.
And that's got to be a good thing, because with Making Tax Digital going to force a lot of people that's never even considered software before, or never cared about using software before. The more hand holding we can get at that front thing is definitely going to be important, isn't it? Because we're going to have a whole raft of new people learning to use software for the very first time. So I think, the more they can hold on, the better. One thing though, because the Get Things Done tab as it is now, if you kind of look at a kind of live client now in the UK, it's very much, or it feels to me, and we've kind of said this in research, haven't we, and everything else, it feels to me like they're trying to mimic the mobile and the desktop kind of view. So the Get Things tab, to me, as it looks now, is a mirror image to what the mobile app does, and it's kind of trying to blur the lines almost, so that you kind of got a similar experience from mobile versus desktop, or mobile versus browser, should I say, in this case. Do you think then that the mobile could start looking like this, or do you think that's going to be too cluttered and too messy?
I think maybe. I mean, I guess like they've got at the top of the mobile at the moment, you've got the options where you can skim across, going from left to right.
Kind of cell type thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So you could sort of have money in, money out, and flip across to see what thing you might want to do next. Good question or good comment that came through there. Expert help, talk to your accountant that's been spotted on that dashboard. I've got logged. I'm sort of logged into my sort of test file, and I on the one that I'm looking at, it actually says talk to your bookkeeper. So I guess depends how you're sort of logged in or maybe set up. And it could be because I might have set this one up as an accountant, or said I was an accountant. So it might be, that's probably said, well, if you're the accountant, you need to talk to the bookkeeper that's been doing the books.
Oh, that's clever. Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I tried to click on it to see if it would open up anything.
But that could also be that QuickBooks Live, can't it? Because when I jumped into my American account, one thing that is very apparent is that they are definitely pushing QuickBooks Live. So that whole service where talk to a real bookkeeper or talk to a real accountant, that live interaction and having that person do the bookkeeping there and then for you. So that might be kind of a link to that more than, or possibly more than your actual accountant. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it is us as accountants and not that solution. But that could be what it's linking to.
Yeah. Actually, while we're just sort of going across topics here slightly.
Yeah, go for it.
But I thought while we were talking about the subject of contact, is that interestingly, so I'm the, although I don't do much accounting for clients, I've still got one or two, bigger clients that I've mentioned before that I work with a lot. And, underneath my accounting subscription, I had spare license. So I created a new company for somebody very recently, and I'd set them all up and I'd invited them. And within a couple of days, they had an email from Intuit. Okay, I guess it's just a general one of those automatic things. Do you want to join this webinar to learn how to set your QuickBooks file up? Yeah. And I sort of thought, because they forwarded it to me. So do we need to do anything with this? And I said no, because it's already been set up, exactly as we need it. But I just thought it was a little bit odd. Is that a new thing? Have you?
Is that did it give you the guide, or did it talk about onboarding and onboarding webinar? Because they've been pushing that. I think it's weekly that they do this onboarding type webinar system, and because they're as from an accounting practice, they're trying to encourage us to push our clients onto it. So it's like, get yourself signed up for the next onboarding webinar. And the idea would be that they would kind of go through live how they would set up a new file and give an opportunity for people to talk and go in from there. So I assume it's that they're pushing for.
Yeah. I guess it depends on the accounting practice. I mean, if that was me, I mean, luckily I don't really have any clients really apart from that one as such, but that would be a complete no from me. Don't go telling me my set of accounts, because I know how I want my account set up.
Exactly.
Or I know how between me and myself and my client, I'd like to make sure it works for the client and for me as the accountant. So it works both ways, obviously. And not having any sort of confusion with them being taught one way slightly differently as I would like. So that would be my little sort of thing there. With all the goodwill in the world, you have to be a bit careful, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where it sounds great on paper, doesn't it? But I think, for certain clients, it's going to give you more pain than it's worth, isn't it? For some clients, it'll be perfect, wouldn't it? It'll be a great little solution. But yeah, for certain clients, you'll giving them the opportunity to set up their own chart of accounts, for example, could be a nightmare. So yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting take on it, and I think it's just one of those things where I don't think Xero or Sage or anyone else offer that solution, so it is quite a nice little USP, isn't it? So there's that going for it, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess I can't really comment too much without actually attending or seeing what it is what advice is being given.
Yes,
I guess that. So it could be that they're singing off exactly the same hymn sheet as me, which is do not use too many chart codes. If you can keep it that level, all the better. You don't want to be running into pages. There's nothing worse than a profit and loss report that runs into 4 pages.
Yeah. Sounds like you're talking from experience there.
There's sub accounts and there's sub accounts that you don't need.
So just while we're just talking about the US one, just so we've seen another quick change, just so we can cycle that one off. I've noticed this one here. Now I can't remember when this came in. So we've talked about before the whole price rules. That's something that's I'm personally quite excited about. I think the idea of that coming into the UK will be quite a nice little change. And the idea then is, depending on what customer you've got, you could have your own costing sheet for that particular one. So, maybe you've done some wholesale discounts to them or whatever it's going to be. So if customer A wants a price book, their price book will be different to customer B, that sort of thing. And, and with that turned on, you can be really clever with it. And be able to kind of do custom pricing for individual customers and stuff. So I quite like that. I think that works quite well. But what's new, or what I believe is new, again, I don't remember seeing this before, is that late fees option here. Now that seems like an absolute dream if that works as intended. The idea that if someone doesn't pay you on time, it'll automatically add on some late fee charges to them. I think that could be an absolute game changer myself. What about you, Ash? You like the idea of that one, or are you still?
I do. I think it is definitely for some worth it. I was just while you were doing that, I thought, because I had my test file open, I just opened it up and just clicked on it, and I noticed that when you actually turn that on, you get the ability of choosing whether it's a flat fee or a percentage of the invoice. You've got some different grace periods that you can choose and what you want to put on there. So what I can't quite tell from that at the moment is whether it adds a charge onto the original invoice or it creates another one. Now, just looking at the screen just very briefly without doing any testing whatsoever, it gives me the impression that it adds it onto that original invoice, which I wouldn't have thought was quite right, really. I would have thought really a separate charge or a separate invoice, because you've got your original invoice that you send out on one day. Andy, what do you think?
I suppose it's exactly the same. Well, it's the opposite, isn't it, of early repayment settlements and discounts for that. So it's exactly the same principle. That just opposite, isn't it? So instead of you getting a discount for paying early, and then the invoice is adapted after the date. In this case, you're getting penalised for not paying on time, so it added onto that.
So
I guess that's the argument they're using. Yeah, I don't know if that is right or wrong.
Well, the only thing that would make me query that is that if you have filed your VAT and that return has been filed for that period with that invoice, and now you would be creating or amending the invoice that's been filed on the VAT return.
I suppose the only good thing is exceptions report is brilliant.
We'll bring it.
There's that in there. But you're right, especially flat rate. I know flat rates. Well, I suppose does it apply to this? I suppose it does, doesn't it? But yeah, it's still flat rate would definitely not work, will it? So as soon as you file one return or one period, it's locked for good, isn't it? So yeah.
So something to think about.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen a lot of uptake for the automatic reminders. So that came in not too long ago, about 6 months ago, whatever it was. A lot of uptake for that one. That's been a really popular feature of that's been announced and been utilized. But also it's come with a lot of problems. So it was one of those, I think, where it was maybe released a little bit too soon. So it's like not sending out the right at the right times, and it's not sending the right information out. And also it's kind of highlighted for certain clients that their systems aren't, robust enough in terms of when they update their QuickBooks or whatever it's going to be, because these are brilliant, these solutions here. But if you've not got a way of automatically tracking when someone's paid you, then you could accidentally send a reminder out, accidentally put a late fee onto someone, just because you haven't, say, gone through your bank account in the last week or so. So I suppose there's that, isn't there, to take into account on. You're going to have some really nice, robust systems in place to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that sort of thing that you just mentioned with the automatic reminders, and especially this late payment fees, you need to be doing your bookkeeping every day.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because you're really going to rub a customer up the wrong way if you have not recorded their receipt and you've sent them a late payment fee. Yeah, that's what is it? How to I can't remember the saying.
How to lose clients.
Yeah. How to lose friends and gain enemies, something like that.
So yeah, definitely. All right, wonderful. Well, let's hope, or let's fingers crossed that's going to come over to the UK pretty soon. I'm definitely up for the idea of that late fees option. So our next bit of news is very strange one. I didn't expect this one coming through, but Intuit are about to buy, or by the looks of it, they're already pretty much there. They are in talks with buying a new company. Now, if I was going to do a straw poll of what companies they could be buying next, I imagine we'd be talking about, e-commerce platforms, or, VAT solutions, or receipt capture solutions, something like that. But no, QuickBooks are about to spend £10 billion on on Mailchimp. So they're coming in for Mailchimp, which is a bit of a left-wing one, isn't it, Ash? Did you see that one coming? Was that something you saw in the tea leaves?
I certainly didn't, but Mailchimp have got a huge customer base.
Yeah.
Anyone that sent out some sort of mailing has probably used Mailchimp.
Yes,
so
without doubt.
I guess it's just another way of, being able to reach out to other people that might be using other software as well. So yeah, and I'm sure Mailchimp makes good money.
Yeah,
I use Mailchimp, and I know there are free versions, but I pay for it as well because I want to get stuff sent out.
Yep.
So yeah, why not? I guess I just wasn't expecting it, like you're saying, but
they earned their profit before tax was 300 million last year. So it's not too shabby, I suppose. A couple of years, and you've paid back that 10 billion. Well, I suppose more than a couple, but you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one. I assume this is one of the ones where they're going to buy it. There's no real integration as such. I can't think of how that would integrate with QuickBooks. I don't think it was, how lately there's been one SaaS one SaaS acquisition. There's been TradeGecko, there's been T-Sheets, and they were all acquired so that QuickBooks could benefit from them, wasn't they? They were all rebranded to QuickBooks Time and QuickBooks Commerce and everything else. I can't imagine this is something that's designed to be fitting with QuickBooks, but
well, I don't know, you say that, Aaron, but if you think about it, I mean, I know they've got some solutions sort of already, but if you just wanted to send all of your QuickBooks clients a little annual reminder to say, can you get your tax return information in, or the tax season's just ended.
Yeah, that is true.
Why not get this stuff into us, now, and you can have lots of time to worry about paying your tax. And, you do that in QuickBooks, but behind the scenes, what you're using is a Mailchimp piece of software that's basically been white labeled with the QuickBooks badge on it. So if they buy something that's called Mailchimp, they can just take out the bits that they want and plop it in the back.
So QuickBooks Chimp is coming. Is that what you're saying?
QuickBooks Chimp. That's
I'm just going with what the QuickBooks Time, QuickBooks Commerce.
You jest there. Actually, it's got quite a nice ring to it, and almost. I'm just thinking. I'm just trying sort of funny stuff here, but I'm just thinking of the QuickBooks logo. You could make a little chimpanzee head out of it. Sorry. I've just got off of one.
I'll tell you, if anyone is listening here, you might want to buy that domain. That could be a nice little earner for you there if you go out and get that domain. So
yeah, actually, I'm going to go on to search domain names. QuickBooks,
see what's going on there. Yeah, it's I suppose what they could use it for is they could use it as an ability for QuickBooks accountants, QBOA. That's one of their little perks, because I know there's that. I don't know if you've seen what perks we had, but we had one with Squarespace for a while. That's not there at the moment. DocuSign was one of them, wasn't it? That was a discount and stuff. So they could give you a cheap or a free version of the paid for Mailchimp, couldn't they? As part of that, I suppose. But yeah, it's an interesting acquisition. You obviously outpriced yourself. You should have gone to 10 billion and not to 12 billion. You should just
we have to sort of renegotiate next time we get approached.
Yeah, they obviously went for Mailchimp a little bit cheaper for them. That's what it was. Yeah. So it went through from there. Okay, but yeah, so talks to buy Mailchimp. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that one. I think that could be an interesting one. We've got two pieces of news on Xero as well. So the first one I'm going to go through first of all, because I know this one will be an easier topic to go through, a lot less controversial as well. But basically, if you've heard of the company called Greenback, or the app, should I say, called Greenback, then Xero, should I say, let's start again. We're doing Dext at this point in time, so this isn't Xero related. But Dext have acquired Greenback. So Dext, for people who haven't seen this and living under a rock at the moment, Dext is the new name for Receipt Bank. And basically Dext is now their platform, if you like, where they've basically put all of the Receipt Bank functionality and they've now put it into different areas of it. So Dext isn't just supposed to be about Receipt Bank and receipt capture, but they've made their own little ecosystem, their own little platform. Works brilliantly. It's not just about capturing receipts. It's all about analyzing data. It's all about trying to bring some elements into there. And their acquisition of Greenback means that they now have the ability to offer an e-commerce opportunity for their customers as well. Now, what that's really exciting for is that means that they've kind of got a direct competition or direct alternative, if you like, for OneSaaS, which we've already mentioned. Who now are owned by QuickBooks, by Cinder, which is a great platform that I'm using as well. Link My Books, those sort of e-commerce platforms. So the idea is that Greenback or now Dext Commerce can connect to your Amazon, your eBay, your PayPal, your Etsy, your Stripe, your Uber, and get that data into your Xero and QuickBooks clients. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting how this is starting to develop, how, these platforms are starting to grow and start offer so much more, functionality.
Yeah, but as we mentioned that, or as we briefly spoke about before we started, the whole e-commerce area is really gone huge, isn't it, over the last 12 months, especially with COVID, people buying online. Yeah. So there's a lot more transactions in the world are being created electronically, whether it's through eBay, whether it's through Shopify, whether it's through whatever platform someone's using. And so if you're using a particular sales platform, website or whatever it might be, you have that, but then you actually want to get that data into your accounting system one way or another without having to do lots of exporting and importing, which can be painful, as we know. So if you do have that solution that is going to basically streamline it all for you, or summarize it in and bring it through, then all the better. So it's gonna, yes, it would say, I've never had to do it really much of it, but well, not for some years now, but I know that it's a very painful process when you have to deal with a lot of transactions, especially when they might be being purchased through different platforms, even within one company. So if there are tools there to make it easier, then all the better. And I guess, there's going to be, you're going to start getting some competition with one, QuickBooks creating some solutions, and other people are going to want to do the same. So, which actually keeps the price down, I guess, for some of them as well.
I mean, it's interesting from kind of the videos. I get a lot of from the YouTube side. I get a lot of traction on anything to do with e-commerce. Like if I'm showing any kind of app or any kind of solution or whatever it's going to be, especially eBay from kind of my kind of demographic that's watched my videos. There's a lot of kind of chatter about it. I think the biggest thing that comes from my point of view is what I see, and it's kind of I have to defend almost QuickBooks and Xero and everyone else, because the kind of expectation, or I suppose not expectation, it's kind of the feeling when they buy these apps, or when they buy QuickBooks or they buy Xero or whatever it's going to be from an end user point of view, is they're expecting, or there is a kind of, I suppose expectation is the right word, it's they're expecting that software can just connect with eBay and can connect with Amazon and just natively. Like that's what perceptions are probably the better word. That's what their perception is going to be, is that you buy QuickBooks, you buy Xero, it doesn't matter what you buy, I just type in my eBay password and I should just get that data in. Surely that's how it works. And obviously we know it's so much more difficult than that. There's a lot more moving parts to that. But I think somehow, some way, and QuickBooks is already on this path because they've acquired one SaaS. So that will slowly start building in. You'd expect that to have native integration at some point, wouldn't you? So they'll have that opportunity to bring it in. But it's interesting. It's interesting kind of hearing that chatter and what people expect and everything. And I think, the more that these companies can kind of offer solutions, the better. But I suppose the downside at the moment is there's a lot of confusion of which software is better or right suited for it, and everything else. I know we've got apps. What was the company that we had on about 6 months back? But I know we've got great people like that who are kind of reviewing different software solutions and how good they are and everything else. But it is difficult to kind of look through the wood through the trees to try and find the right solution for each individual business.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh, App Advisory, is that who you're talking about?
That's it, App Advisory. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough one. But at least when like Greenback has now been acquired by someone like Dext, your assumption is then that it should start being more unified experience. If someone's already using Dext, it should just it's a tick of a box, basically, isn't it? And they should also start seeing the benefits from there. So yeah, it's going to be a case of you're going to be either a QuickBooks kind of focused accounting firm or a Xero focused and a Dex focused. And I think there's definitely going to be a lot of kind of changes coming forward, I think.
Absolutely. I think we're coming to time soon, Aaron, I think.
We are, but we have one more juicy topic that I want to talk about, and then we will call it there. This one, I just want to get your opinion on this one at all. But Xero has revamped their app store. So that's a great news, isn't it? We love that idea. Their app store has been revamped. So the idea then is that they're looking to try and make it so that more people utilize apps associated with Xero, which is great news. But they've started to play around with the idea of a 15% referral fee / app subscription charge that is commission payable by app developers. So Ash, with you being an app developer, what do you feel like about this change coming upon you? So just to give some clarity to people listening, the idea would be that if you go to use the Xero app store and you buy an app like NetTracker, which I highly recommend, then the idea would be that if you buy it directly from Xero's store, so not from NetTracker themselves, but from the Xero store, then 15% of that fee that you're paying for that particular app will go to Xero, whereas the other 85% will go to the app developer, which is very much the same as what Apple and Google and all them lot do on your phones when you buy an app through there. It's the same sort of model. So, Ash, what do you think to that?
I suppose there are pros and cons on this. So if I look at it and think, well, if people coming through Xero, if the Xero app store is getting me 10 times more sort of revenue than what I do if people just buy it directly, then well, I might as well just take it, and the charge is a charge, and that's all there is to it. But I guess there is a lot of from our side, there could be a lot of complexities associated with that. So it all depends on who does the customer pay first. Is the customer paying Xero first and then Xero paying us, or is the customer paying us and then Xero basically monitoring who has created that subscription, whatever, and then send us some sort of invoice where we need to pay it. So until you actually mentioned it today, Aaron, I had no idea about this, and anyone that signs up for NetTracker, they just pay us directly because they become a customer. We raise an invoice automatically through QuickBooks, and it gets automatically paid through Stripe.
Yeah.
So what? So the sort of 15% charge wouldn't fuss us too much. If it gains, if you get lots of additional customer traction through it, that would only be a good thing.
Yeah.
But the only thing that would worry us is just how all the mechanics, how it all bolts together. When people cancel their subscription, and how it could be, because there's so many different
layers to it, I suppose,
that can happen. And so with us, for example, we've just changed our whole subscription way that it works. So a user can just log in, and they start off with one company, and if they want to increase it to 2 or 3 or 10 or 100, they can just do it themselves, and they log in, and it automatically changes their billing. How that works when you've got someone else to think about, that's another complication.
Yeah, it's one of the, because you can see from both sides, can't you? Like from Xero's side, their opinion is they're creating this app ecosystem platform, and if, like you've already said, if the discoverability is from Xero, and Xero are saying, look, based on what we see on your the way you use your app, you've started getting these fixed assets, so go and buy NetTracker. Here's a link to it straight away. it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And from an end user, if I can just press buy now and it just gets added to my Xero subscription, even better. I don't have to find my credit card or anything like that, or you know what I mean. I'm not having to subscribe or anything, and you can kind of see that less friction and that idea that they can just buy it, done, they're in, it's all set up. I think could be really powerful. But I suppose where it gets a bit, black or a bit against the curve a little bit is that idea that, well, it's never had a commission before, so what is Xero bringing to the table to justify this extra 15%? And also, like for a lot for us, like if we're advising clients as to which app to go or which QuickBooks versus Xero to go with, most of the conversations nowadays are around, well, what ecosystem you already invested in, what point of sale system are you using, and then we're then saying, right, well, QuickBooks or Xero is going to be best for you because they got a better integration or whatever it's going to be. So sometimes the reason we choose a particular bookkeeping solution for our clients is because of their app. It's the app drawing them or pushing them to the cloud-based bookkeeping solution. Do you know what I mean? And it's going to be difficult to kind of justify which way that person's come and how they've come in, because it's almost in that case, why shouldn't then Xero pay the app developer 15% extra or whatever? Do you know what I mean? It's going to be difficult to find that right balance.
Yeah, it is getting the balance right, because you've got to think of what has, it doesn't have to be Xero, it could be any accounting platform. What have they brought to the table? So for us, we've got a fixed asset app that was non-existent in QuickBooks. Yep. In Xero, they only recommend using the Xero fixed asset if you have up to 500 assets. So if you've got more than 500 assets, they're basically saying not really going to cope very well with that.
Yeah,
you've got Sage that doesn't have it at all. So if then someone says, well, so and not just us, any app provider, creates an app that enhances the use of another piece of software. And for us, we can also, provide support. So if anyone comes and questions how the integration works, we support them the same as any other app developer. So unless, someone like Xero does actually say, okay, well, we will help you promote it, and it's already on the App Store anyway. So what is the extra promotion for? What are you going to do? Some additional advertising, or are you going to assist with supporting it?
Yeah.
You sort of think, well, unless we were targeting with a lot of extra customers, then you sort of think, oh well, I don't see the point.
Yeah,
because people will find, if they really need a solution, they'll find you whether you're on an app store or not quite often, because they'll just Google it like everyone else does. If you want to find something, you just Google I am looking for this and this, and the two words combined usually will find. I think because nearly all of our customers pretty much come through a Google search.
Yeah. I can imagine that. Yeah, exactly. Or referral from other users, isn't it? But yeah, not from the app stores. Yeah. Great. Interesting question just to finish off on regarding this subject. Ash, would you prefer to pay to use the Xero app platform as a one-off advertisement fee instead?
It depends how much the advert would be, to be quite honest. But again, a huge amount of work goes into just not only creating the app, and in fact, with all integrations that we've done for QuickBooks, Xero, and Sage, just as much work is involved in actually listing on their app stores than actually creating the app itself, because we have to meet so many guidelines, and with QuickBooks, we have an annual security review. That's they log in and they check it and they try to attack it with different things to make sure that all the security is in place. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on, that's a lot of work that we don't sort of really get paid for doing that. So you sort of think, okay, you want us to do all this extra work, and now you want to take more money away from us. So
yeah,
it does sort of think, and
like if you think about where they've got this business model from, it is from the Apple and the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. And I don't know if you know about it from the computer game side of things, but there's an Epic store and there's a Steam store, a Microsoft store, and all these online marketplace stores, they do charge that commission. But the argument's always been that you can't buy it from anywhere else. It's not available anywhere else. Your only option is to buy from this, especially in like the Apple ecosystem and everything else. They will only let you buy it from the Apple store. And the justification is because Apple's made sure that it's safe. It's not going to damage your phone. You're not going to give your data away. It's all that sort of stuff, isn't it? And like you just said, QuickBooks are doing that with you, and they're doing those tests and they're making sure it's secure and they're making sure it's safe. So I can kind of see there's work involved, but as you said, like you have to do just as much work, if not a hell of a lot more, just to get it into that position in the first place. So yeah, it just stings a little bit that they're adding it now. If it was there from day one, you'd accept it, wouldn't you? And you'd be like, right, okay, well, for me to be on your platform, I have to have this charge, and maybe I don't on QuickBooks, maybe I do on Xero. That's fine, but to ask for it now and to bring it in now when doesn't appear to be anything extra or anything fancy, then it's an odd one. I mean, QuickBooks have www.apps.com. If your app isn't being found on www.apps.com, then what hope have you got from any other app store, cloud-based app store, so marketplace. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And it's interesting as well that I found this piece of information on a news article and they haven't told you yet. So it's an odd one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, perhaps I recently had an invitation to one of the sort of Xero apps community with developers, and it was because they're Australian or New Zealand based.
Yeah,
it was for something like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, no, I'd love to attend, but I am not attending something at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And maybe they won't introduce it to UK. Maybe it'll just be a Xero, a New Zealand or Australian only fee or something. But
yes, it's not come through to me yet.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is all the topics we wanted to cover today.
It is. I think.
Yeah, go for it, Ash.
I was going to say, our next webinar would be or podcast, I should say, 6th of October. So that would be Wednesday, the 6th of October being our first Wednesday.
Perfect. And we promise then we will talk about your book as well, because that was due to be talked about today. So a little teaser of what we're going to talk about next time is Ash becoming an author, and get you the opportunity to understand exactly what it sounds like, because it definitely is a peculiar experience, put it mildly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to go through that with you next time. So Ash, have you got anything planned for the week? Is there, or month, should I say? Is there any videos? Are you back on the video bandwagon yet? Is there anything?
I'm still not back on the video. I've sort of have a little sabbatical from video producing at the moment, while I am putting all of my efforts into writing this book, which we'll go into more detail about next time. So we'll leave that as the teaser trailer.
We'll see. Brilliant. And then for me, I've got quite an interesting one on flat rate scheme, because we found that there are some peculiarities with flat rate scheme, let's put it that way, in the world of QuickBooks. So I've got a video out on that one due. And then I'm going to be looking at the integration for Accounting Manager and QuickBooks as well, because they've had some really good integrations lately. So I've got some good video content on that. So that should be a good one. So with that, then, I think that's just a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me, Aaron.
Cheers, everyone. We look forward to seeing you all, or producing this for you, in a month's time. Take care of yourself, everyone. See you soon, and bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.